What's going on, Reds? Welcome back to another episode of Liverpool Latest. I would like to start this video by wishing you all a very happy anniversary. Today, April 27th, was the day we officially sealed the deal last season, winning the Premier League. And as we all know, the vibes were immensely high in the following weeks, despite some struggles on the field. We didn't play all that great because we were probably in so much celebration mode that perhaps we were a little bit hungover. Now, a year later, we find ourselves practically struggling. This has been statistically one of the worst seasons we have had in quite some time, despite being top 4 in the league right now, and a lot of the performances that we have had on the field have been incredibly lackluster, to put it kindly. But it's not nearly as bad as the Boston Red Sox. You see, as a Yankees fan, the Boston Red Sox suffering as much as they have to begin the MLB season has been delightful. And just this past week, Alex Cora, the manager of the Red Sox team, as well as many of his coaching staff and backroom staff, have been officially fired by the management and the ownership of the team. Who might be the owner of the Boston Red Sox, you might ask? That would be none other than Fenway Sports Group, better known by the acronym of FSG. So, I'd like to start this video by asking the question and posing the question: when will it be our turn to make these changes? Because clearly, the quality of football from 1 year ago to now has been a drastic demotion, if you ask me. Even some of the worst games I saw under Klopp still rank better than the worst games I have seen this season under Arne Slot. And I'm not kidding when I say this. I have seen some shit performances under Klopp, but I have seen abysmal, downright boring, the dregs of quality of football under Arne Slot this season. So yes, while this news regarding the Boston Red Sox does not necessarily affect Liverpool because it is two completely different franchises, but it is under the same ownership. So I beg the question, if FSG is willing to fire a longtime manager of the Boston Red Sox who has had success, why can't they pull the plug and pull the trigger on Slot? What does Arne Slot have over FSG, Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards that is keeping him in place at the head of the team? I genuinely find this baffling that the Red Sox, who are absolutely struggling, and Liverpool have been struggling for decent results all season, I find that there are some similarities there. Not many, but there are some, compared to the quality of games that they are playing. And if Alex Cora, who's been on the team for many years, can get fired, why can't second-year manager Arne Slot suffer the same fate 1 year after winning the Premier League? So, it seems like John Henry, who was the principal owner of FSG, maybe he doesn't have so much of a say with Liverpool, who knows? But he's got to be watching what's going on, right? I mean, after all, it's his ownership group's investment that this is. So we certainly know that FSG can act decisively. when need to. So why has it been such a struggle to find a better alternative? Because if you ask me, personally speaking, and this is purely opinion when I bring this up, if you ask me, unless we make some very drastic changes next season and get some decent talent out of who we're losing or potentially losing, I don't see next season or the following season after that being very enjoyable when it comes to being a Liverpool fan. Is it then when the ownership group takes charge and pulls the trigger? No idea. That was just something I wanted to touch on today because I just find it very telling how FSG can act one way and then not act another way when the results are clearly right in their face for both teams. We know Boston Red Sox suck. They will probably suck for the rest of the season given this news. I don't see them turning around all that much. They'll probably be lower half of the AL East, if you know baseball. As far as Liverpool goes, there's still hope. The only thing keeping Arne Slot in as head of the team right now as manager is the fact that we have potential to play Champions League football next season. That is the only thing at this point that can justify Slot keeping his job. That's it. We've lost the league. We lost the Carabao Cup in humiliating fashion. We lost the FA Cup in even more humiliating fashion. And then we lost a very incredibly embarrassing two-game series against PSG in the Champions League, solidifying our exit there. So that's 4 results that we could have had. We could have had at least one of those. That's all I'm going to say. We could have had at least one of those competitions. But granted, the injuries probably would have piled up more so than they are already. So some of them probably were strategic exits. I understand that now. But it just is very disappointing when an ownership group will look at one team and not the other and say, we need to make changes here, but not here. I don't know. It's like James Dolan owning both the Knicks and the Rangers and deciding that for some reason the Knicks are going to be the ones to improve the next couple of years and the Rangers are the ones that suffer the wrath of James Dolan's ownership and especially Chris Drury as GM. So we'll just have to see where it leads going into next season because clearly Liverpool has not made any sort of change. They have not found remotely found an interim coach. They have made allegedly no contact with Xabi Alonso, according to multiple reports. I've talked about this before. So we are stuck with Arne Slot ball for the foreseeable future, and I am ready to go bald by pulling my hair out as a result. That said, there is some hope that goes into the summer transfer window. According to Fabrizio Romano, which if you trust him, you trust him. He's probably one of the more credible sources when it comes to football that I have seen, even though sometimes fans, disagree with his takes or whatnot. It seems like they are making a push, being Liverpool, to sign a new right back, which, if you ask me, is a pretty solid idea. The right back position has been cursed ever since Trent left. Nobody has been able to solidify a solid performance in that spot. Connor Bradley, doing a solid job, gets injured, has surgery, probably won't be back until next season at some point if he's lucky. Jeremy Frimpong, consistently injured, kind of have to question his reliability. Joe Gomez, who can also play the position at times, also constantly injured. Dominic Szoboszlai can play the position, not necessarily his preferred position, but can play it relatively well enough where, but at the same time, he as a weapon in himself cannot work being stuck in the defensive line. So luckily, there is news that Liverpool is trying to plan a big right back signing for the summer. A name that I have seen thrown around and continues to be thrown around, which I have talked about in the past, is Denzel Dumfries. In the past, a deal was not able to be made. That said, according to Fabrizio Romano, and this is a direct quote from the article I'm seeing from Anfield Watch, Denzel Dumfries is a hot topic for the summer, an issue that we need to keep monitoring. He has a release clause active in the summer, so that opens up the market potential, and all the various opportunities are being explored for Dumfries. The release clause has a very limited time frame. So the idea that we can sign Dumfries would be a solid for us because we don't know what's going on with who's staying and who's going into the offseason. We still don't know if Joe Gomez is leaving yet. We also have absolutely zero clue what's going on with Connor Bradley. We don't know how his rehab is going. I hope he gets better, but I don't know if I can necessarily trust him considering how severe his injury actually was. So I sit here and I question the talent we currently have now, but does it also make sense to go out and sign a new player and then he becomes good at the position, or, we know he's good at the position, but he becomes well adapted for Liverpool in that position. And now those guys who were originally first choices are now second, third, and so on. So how is that going to sit as far as team morale goes? I have no idea, but I just figured that was something to talk about. The right back, again, the right back curse is something that has been hurting us quite a bit for the entirety of the season. Trent's absence is very much known. The quality he possessed is very much known because we have not gotten that quality. And you could say what you will about him, whether he's a rat or not. I'm kind of on the fence about that whole ordeal now. Maybe he was just early to the game in regards to what he saw under Slot, and then he decided to sign with Real Madrid. Who knows? We don't know. Nobody's said anything solidifying either of those claims. That said, there's still big shoes to fill since he's been gone, and I don't think really anybody has done a solid enough job filling those shoes. They've been serviceable, but they haven't been not like for like or one of one, but they have been, they've been okay. They've been okay. That's as much as I can say about that situation. Another thing I want to talk about is Michael Olise, because apparently Bayern Munich and their chief, Max, can't speak German or whatever this is, Eberl, something like that. Max Eberl, he apparently has told Liverpool to, for lack of better words, go fuck themselves in regards to a position of, we're not selling Olise. Please stop trying to inquire about it and fuck off very kindly. Thank you. Best of luck on your other options you have out there. Which I personally expected. I expected Bayern to reject any sort of offers that Liverpool was having because Olise has been very outstanding for this season in regards to contribution. 19 goals, 29 assists, very central figure in Bayern's Bundesliga title-winning campaign, as well as, potential push for the treble. He's obviously attracted attention from other clubs. Now that Mo Salah is going to be leaving the club, he was definitely one of the top talents scouted to take that position. And clearly, Bayern Munich is very much telling them to fuck off. Now, granted, this is a media-sourced article coming from Liverpool FC themselves. This does not necessarily reflect the club's official position on the subject, but it seems as though from what is being reported in the media, based on that article, Bayern Munich is very much telling Liverpool no. So who do we go next to if Olise is off the table? I'm still very much in the line of Jan Diomande taking the spot as a potential future of the club ordeal if he is ready to take that challenge. But this is a bit of a bummer, honestly. The fact that Olise is more or less off the table, reportedly, according to this report I saw. So I'm not really sure where Liverpool goes. Maybe there's a deal that could still be had, but clearly it's not going to be done right this minute. The summer will probably be where we need them to maybe break a little bit. It also depends on how they perform in the rest of the season in the Bundesliga. So I'm not necessarily holding out hope, but I am becoming more and more realistic to the fact that Olise could potentially just be one of those guys that was a very great fantasy signing on paper. Money wise and dealing with negotiations and other clubs, definitely going to be that was definitely going to be the struggle there. And if Bayern Munich is telling Liverpool no, that can only mean that any other club that is eyeing him is also probably getting the exact same response. So at least we know that we can find some solace in that, at least for now. Last but not least, I want to continue to talk about this ticket price protest that has been going on, that has been dominating Liverpool football media, it seems. A direct quote from one of the organizers, Gareth Roberts, claims that they themselves do not want to be doing this. The fans, I mean. As we all know, Liverpool had, the fans at Anfield had a very prominent showing for the protests, where many of the people within the stadium were holding up a yellow card of sorts, and many fans were showing signs and posters and banners across the stadium protesting their dislike to the ticket price increase in the coming years. And it's funny because I now understand what the yellow card was actually saying. I have not seen a solid photo of it, but apparently the yellow cards read, "Caution, Anfield's soul at risk." So clearly this is very much a protest, not just for, well, it's very much a protest for the fans, in the sense that Liverpool, the surrounding community of Anfield, and Liverpool want to keep the soul of the stadium and the fan base as is. They fear that there's going to be, risk of losing authenticity, passion, cultural identity, and I think that is a very brave stance to take. I don't know if it's one that they eventually win. As a matter of fact, when it comes to the people versus corporations, very rarely have I seen any sort of budge happen. There has to be like some immense online bullying for something like that to take place. But it seems as though that bullying and that protesting, I can't even really call it bullying, but that protesting is taking place during games with thousands of people holding up those cards and holding up those signs. And the funny part is the when you kind of break down the increase, the ticket price revenue, the revenue that's actually going to be made from this is actually very small. It's very odd. So apparently the estimated revenue from the ticket increase equates to £1.2 million, which is 0.17% of total club revenue, which is £703 million. So comparison of the situation, broadcast and commercial revenue has a very, as a matter of fact, vastly larger income stream than actual ticket prices, and that the ticket hikes essentially financially are insignificant and culturally damaging to the team and the identity of the team and the fan base. So I never realized just how much the breakdown of it mattered, but when I kind of see the numbers as is, according to this article by 442.com, as they broke it down for me here, I kind of find it to be dumb that this is even taking place at all now, because it's not like they're actually making any sort of huge revenue out of this. It's just raising up prices for the sake of raising prices. And I've talked about the idea of raising prices before when it comes to the WWE and my feelings on that. So you kind of get the similarity of where I'm going with that particular situation. I don't think I need to harp on it more than I already have in the past. But I do very much, the more I read into it, I very much stand with the fan base. Granted, I am across the ocean, across the world, in the subpar state of South Carolina, originally from the great state of New Jersey. And regardless of where I am in the States, as a Yank, my opinion to some may not matter. But as a Liverpool fan, I think to myself and I say, listen, Anfield's atmosphere this season has already been trash. If we're going to raise up the ticket prices and now hardcore fans can't get into the stadium and now all these, high roller guys can start spending tickets and not react to games, then the soul of the whole stadium is pretty much shot. And then Anfield, as crumbling of a fortress as it is now, is going to be having very, very structural issues, and the foundation will continue to disintegrate if things like this are to continue. So, again, I'm with the fan base on this one. I originally kind of was on the fence about it, like, oh, I understand why, as a sports corporation thing, I understand why the fans are upset. Now I'm definitely on the side of the fans here. The money increase, according to what the math is telling me in this article, is very much the math don't add up compared to the grander scheme of things. That's just all I'm gonna say. But anyhow, thank you for watching Liverpool Latest today. I appreciate you being here. As always, be sure to leave a like and comment your thoughts down below if you have the availability to. Most importantly, make sure you subscribe and follow the show. Share the show with your friends to help them get acquainted with myself and Fan Arch's journey to give you quality and entertaining Liverpool content every single day. I make mistakes. Don't get me wrong. I saw the comments on the David De Gea video. I should have been a lot better with that. That was my due diligence that I did not give to that video, not knowing his impact to Man United at the time. But I promise, I make mistakes. I'll be better. I figured I'd formally bring that up here on the channel. But I did see a lot of the comments that were saying that, so that's my fault. We'll get better. There's always room for improvement. In the meantime, thanks for watching anyway. See you guys on the next one.